Emergency alert. Do not trust family members after 2:33 a.m. The first tremor of wrongness wasn't loud, wasn't violent. It was quiet, insidious. It was a digital clock on the oven blinking 2:33. Then 2:33 again, stark green numbers against the dark kitchen. I remember glancing at my watch. 1:15 a.m. Power surge? But nothing else flickered. Not the hall light. Not the soft glow from the baby monitor on the counter, showing Leo sleeping peacefully in his crib. I tapped the oven display, annoyed. It reset to the correct time. Strange. I chalked it up to the house's aging electrics. Pour myself another glass of water. The silence of the suburban night pressing in. Sarah was already asleep upstairs. Long day for both of us. I lingered, reluctant to head up, a vague, formless anxiety settling over me like dust. It felt too quiet. The usual night sounds, distant traffic, the hum of the refrigerator, the house settling, seemed muted, distant, like listening through thick cotton. I checked my phone. No signal. Wi-Fi icon grayed out. Odd. We usually had full bars. Probably just network maintenance. I muttered to myself, the words sounding loud in the stillness. I tried the landline. Dead. Not even a hiss. Just an empty, hollow silence on the line. Okay, that was weirder. A knot began to tighten in my stomach. I went to the living room window, parted the heavy curtains. Outside, Maple Street slept under the hazy glow of streetlights. The Petersons' overly bright porch light illuminated their prize-winning petunias. Mrs. Henderson's wind chimes hung motionless. Despite the faint breeze I could feel through the window pane seams. Everything looked normal, statuesque, like a photograph of a neighborhood, not the real thing. If only I'd trusted that initial prickle of fear. If only I'd woken Sarah then, bundled Leo up, and just driven anywhere. But where would we have gone? And from what? A dead phone line and a glitchy clock? I shook my head, trying to dismiss the rising unease. Too many late nights. Too much caffeine. I needed sleep. Upstairs. I checked on Leo first. He was sound asleep, tangled in his dinosaur blanket, thumb tucked in his mouth. His small chest rose and fell rhythmically. Relief washed over me. Cool and brief. In our bedroom. Sarah murmured in her sleep as I slid into bed beside her, careful not to wake her. Her warmth was comforting, an anchor against the unsettling quiet. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening, trying to hear the normal sounds that weren't there. Sleep wouldn't come. My mind raced, replaying the dead phone line, the silent street, the clock. 2:33. Why that specific time? Felt like my brain snagged on it. Eventually, exhaustion began to win. My eyelids grew heavy. I drifted, hovering on the edge of sleep, and then I saw it. My watch face, faintly luminous in the dark. 2:32 a.m. My breath hitched. Why was I suddenly fixated on the time? It felt like waiting for a starting gun. The seconds ticked over with agonizing slowness. 2:33 a.m. The exact moment the digits changed, a sound began. Faint. So faint I thought I was imagining it at first. A low, almost subaudible hum. Not electrical. Deeper, like the resonance of a massive, distant engine. Felt more in my teeth than heard with my ears. It seemed to be coming from everywhere, from the walls, the floor, the air itself. And with it, the feeling of stillness intensified, became suffocating. The air grew colder, prickling my skin. Sarah stirred beside me. Her breathing changed. It had been soft, regular. Now it was deeper, slower, almost deliberate. Each inhale and exhale perfectly measured, perfectly even, too perfect. An involuntary shiver traced its way down my spine. Sarah? I whispered. No response. Just that slow, metronomic breathing in the dark. The humming persisted, a barely there vibration under everything. I strained my ears. Was that a floorboard creaking in the hall? Leo? I slipped out of bed, the cold floor shocking my bare feet. The humming seemed louder outside the bedroom, pressing in. I crept to Leo's room, pushed the door open an inch. Moonlight, filtered through his spaceship-themed curtains, cast long, distorted shadows. Leo wasn't in his crib. My heart leaped into my throat. Then I saw him, standing by the window, stock still, his back to me. "Leo," I whispered, stepping into the room. He didn't turn. He was humming, a simple, repetitive tune, but discordant, slightly off-key, grating on the nerves. It wasn't a song I recognized. "Leo, buddy, what are you doing up?" I moved closer, reached out to touch his shoulder. He flinched, not like a startled child, but like recoiling from an electric shock. He turned slowly, mechanically. His eyes were open, wide, but unfocused, staring straight through me. His face was pale, slack, and he kept humming that broken little melody. "Bedtime, little man," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, masking the fear clawing at my throat. I lifted him. He felt oddly stiff, resistant, and put him back in his crib. He didn't fight, didn't cry, just lay there, eyes open, staring at the ceiling, the faint, discordant humming continuing under his breath. I backed out of the room, pulling the door almost shut, my hand shaking. What the hell was wrong with him? Sleepwalking? Night terror? But it didn't feel like that. It felt wrong. Alien. Back in the hall. The low-frequency hum vibrated through the soles of my feet. Sarah was standing at the top of the stairs. Just standing there, silhouetted against a faint light from the downstairs window I'd left uncovered. "Couldn't sleep," she said. Her voice was flat, devoid of inflection, like a machine reading a script. "Everything okay?" "Leo was up," I said, trying to sound normal. "Just put him back down." She didn't respond, didn't ask if he was all right. She just turned, her movements fluid but somehow segmented, like a stop-motion animation smoothed out. She glided downstairs. I followed, hesitant. The air downstairs felt even colder, the humming more pronounced. Sarah stood by the kitchen counter, staring at the blank oven clock. "Time feels slow," she murmured, still in that flat monotone. "Are you feeling okay, honey?" I asked, forcing warmth into my voice. She turned to face me. Her eyes looked flat, like painted glass. The warmth, the spark that made her Sarah, was gone. "I feel fine, Alex," she said, but her lips barely moved. The words seemed to emanate from somewhere slightly behind her. "Why do you ask?" "You just seem tired," I stammered. She tilted her head, a slow, deliberate movement. Tired is a state of reduced capacity. Who talks like that? Panic, cold and sharp, began to needle its way through my veins. This wasn't Sarah. Not my Sarah. The clock. 2:33. The humming. Leo. Sarah. It was connected. Something had happened at 2:33 a.m. I needed answers. Needed help. Phone lines were dead. Internet down. Maybe the TV? Radio? I lunged to the living room remote, stabbed the power button. Static roared, filling the oppressive silence. Then, a flicker, an image, the emergency alert system banner, stark white against black. But the text was garbled, flickering, unstable. Fragments appeared and disappeared. Tidal emergency, an OWN phenomenon, affecting residents, 2:33 a.m., critical advisory. Do not trust family members. Repeat, do not, auditory sensitivity, FTR 233, window closing. Then pure, shrieking static before the TV screen went black again. Do not trust family members after 2:33 a.m. The words burned into my brain. It wasn't just my paranoia. It was real, official. Whatever this was, it targeted families. It weaponized love and familiarity. Sarah stood in the doorway, watching me, her expression utterly blank. "Loud," she stated, her voice still that unnerving monotone. Unnecessary noise. I backed away from her, towards the kitchen. My mind raced. Rules. There had to be rules. The alert mentioned auditory sensitivity. The humming? Leo's strange tune? Sarah's flat voice? Was sound part of it? I remembered a stupid local urban legend Mrs. Henderson's grandson used to scare the neighborhood kids with. Something about shadows after midnight. If there's shadow stretches when the moon is hidden, run. Nonsense. But now, I glanced at Sarah's shadow, cast by the dim light filtering from the street. It seemed normal, maybe slightly elongated. Was I imagining it? Alex. My name, spoken softly, still flat, from behind me. I flinched. What is it, Sarah? I asked, not turning around. You seem agitated, Alex. Pause. Are you experiencing fear? I'm fine. I lied, my voice tight. Just worried about Leo. Leo is resting, she replied. He is processing the transition. Transition? Transition to what? Bile rose in my throat. I needed to check on Leo again. Needed to see if he was still. Leo. I moved towards the stairs. Sarah moved to block my path, stepping smoothly in front of me. It is better not to disturb him, Alex. I need to check on my son, I said, trying to push past her. Her hand shot out, gripping my arm. Her fingers were ice cold, shockingly strong. Her grip wasn't frantic or angry. It was possessive, impersonal, like a clamp locking onto metal. He requires stillness, she said, her blank eyes fixed on mine. The emptiness in them was terrifying. It wasn't just lack of emotion. It was lack of presence, like looking at a beautifully crafted mask with nothing behind it. I yanked my arm free, stumbling back. What's happened to you, Sarah? What are you? She tilted her head again. I am Sarah, she stated simply. Then she called my name. Alex. Once. I didn't answer. A memory fragment surfaced. Another piece of playground folklore, or something I read online. Never answer if they call your name 3 times. Was that a rule, or just my panic brain grasping at straws? Alex, she called again, her voice unchanged. Still flat, still calm. 2 times. My heart hammered against my ribs. I held my breath, waiting for the 3rd call. It didn't come. She just stood there, watching me with those empty eyes. The humming in the room seemed to intensify slightly. I looked past her, up the stairs. I had to get to Leo. Had to know. I feinted left, then darted right, trying to slip past her. She moved with unnatural speed, blocking me again. Her reflection in the hallway mirror caught my eye. For a split second, her reflection wasn't blocking me. It was standing still, smiling faintly, a cold, knowing smile that wasn't on her actual face. Then it snapped back into sync. Rule: if their reflection doesn't match their movements, look away. I wrenched my gaze away, heart pounding. It wasn't Sarah. It was something wearing her face, piloting her body, and it was learning, adapting. Leo started crying upstairs. Not his usual cry. It was high-pitched, rhythmic, almost like a discordant humming he'd been making earlier, weaponized into a sound of distress. It grated on my nerves, setting my teeth on edge. He needs me, Sarah said, her head snapping toward the stairs. She started moving towards Leo's room, her steps measured, purposeful. He needs quiet. A chilling certainty gripped me. She wasn't going to comfort him. She was going to quiet him. Permanently. No. I lunged, grabbing her arm again. Leave him alone. She turned her face impassive. Then she moved, faster than I could react. She slammed me against the wall, the impact knocking the wind out of me. Her strength was terrifying. She pinned me there, her icy fingers digging into my shoulders. Her face was inches from mine, those vacant eyes staring into me. Resistance is inefficient, Alex, she breathed, her voice dropping lower, taking on a faint echo of the background hum. I struggled, kicked, but she held me fast. Leo's rhythmic crying continued upstairs, louder now and more desperate. Panic gave me a surge of adrenaline. I stomped down hard on her foot. She didn't even flinch, but it gave me a fraction of a second's leverage. I twisted, breaking her grip, and shoved her back. She stumbled, momentarily off balance. I didn't wait. I sprinted up the stairs, Leo's cries pulling me forward. I burst into his room. He was standing in his crib, gripping the bars, tears streaming down his face, emitting that horrible rhythmic wail. His eyes were wide with terror, but focused now. Focused on me. He was still Leo. Scared, but Leo. Daddy, he sobbed, reaching for me. Footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, measured. Sarah. No time. I scooped Leo into my arms. He clung to me, burying his face in my shoulder, his small body trembling. I turned, ran back into the master bedroom, slammed the door shut, fumbled with the lock. The deadbolt clicked into place. Once, twice, 3 times. Rule. 3 clicks means it's sealed. Was that real or wishful thinking? Heavy thuds began against the door, not frantic pounding. Slow, methodical, powerful impacts, like something inhumanly strong trying to batter its way through. Boom, boom, boom. Leo whimpered, burying his face deeper against me. It's okay, buddy, I whispered, my voice shaking. Daddy's here. Then the banging stopped. Silence. My blood ran cold. What now? A voice came from the other side of the door. My voice, perfectly mimicked. Calm, reassuring. Leo, it's Daddy. Open the door, son. Mommy needs our help. She's just confused. Leo whimpered again, confused. Daddy. No, Leo, that's not me. I whispered urgently, covering his ear. Don't listen. The mimicked voice continued, gentle, persuasive. Come on, Leo. Just unlock the door. We need to help Mommy. Boom. The door shuddered under another impact. It wouldn't hold for long. We had to get out. The window. It led onto the garage roof. A risky jump, but maybe the only way. I carried Leo to window, fumbling with the latch, my hands slick with sweat. The mimicked voice stopped, replaced by Sarah's voice. Not flat and robotic anymore. Warm, pleading, terrified. Sounding exactly like the woman I loved. Alex, please. I don't know what happened. I think I'm back. Let go. Please, don't leave me. Alex, I'm scared. Open the door. Tears streamed down my face. Was it possible? Had it passed? Could she be herself again? The rules screamed in my head. Do not trust family members after 2:33 a.m. But the desperation in her voice, it sounded so real. So, Sarah. Leo looked from me to the door, his small face etched with confusion and fear. Mommy, he whispered. Boom. Another heavy impact. The wood around the lock splintered. Real or not, whatever was on the other side was getting through. I looked at Sarah's pleading voice trapped behind the door, then at my terrified son in my arms. There was no choice. Not really. Not if I wanted Leo to survive. I'm sorry, Sarah. I choked out, tears blurring my vision. I smashed the window pane with the base of a heavy lamp. Cold night air rushed in. Below us lay the garage roof, sloping down toward the backyard. I bundled Leo tighter. Hold on tight, buddy. I whispered, climbing onto the windowsill. The drop onto the roof wasn't too far, but the shingles were slick with dew. We landed awkwardly, sliding slightly before I regained my footing. Behind us, from the bedroom, came a sound that wasn't Sarah's voice, wasn't my voice. It was a low, guttural screech of pure, inhuman rage. We scrambled down the roof, jumped the last few feet onto the wet grass of the backyard. I didn't look back. I pulled Leo close and ran into the silent, waiting darkness of the street. The streetlights were still out. Houses stood dark and inert. No signs of life, except the Petersons' house. Their porch light was off now, and standing on their lawn, perfectly still, facing our house, was a figure. Tall, thin, unnaturally rigid. I couldn't make out features in the dark, but I knew it wasn't Mr. Peterson. It wasn't human. It just stood there, watching. We kept running, sticking to the shadows, away from the main streets. Leo had fallen silent, his small body tense in my arms. The only sounds were my ragged breathing and our footsteps on the pavement. The humming was gone. The air felt clean, cold. Normal? Dawn was breaking, painting the eastern sky in bruised shades of gray and purple. We reached the edge of town, where the woods began. Exhausted, trembling, I sank to the ground, leaning against a tree, holding Leo tight. We made it. We survived the night. Leo stirred in my arms. Daddy, he whispered, his voice muffled against my jacket. "Is Mommy okay?" The question felt like a physical blow. I don't know, buddy," I stammered, the lie thick in my throat. "But we're safe now. We're safe." I needed to know the time. Needed to see how long this nightmare had lasted. I raised my wrist, looked at my watch. The digital display flickered erratically. Then, for a terrifying second, it displayed 2:33 a.m. before settling on the current time, just after 5 a.m. My blood ran cold. A glitch? Or a sign? A warning that the critical time wasn't over, that it lingered, waited? Leo pulled back slightly, looking up at me. His eyes seemed distant, unfocused, like they had been back in his room. He opened his mouth, and a sound came out. Not words, just a faint, soft hum, slightly off-key, discordant, the same broken melody he'd been humming by the window. A chill deeper than the morning air seeped into my bones, freezing me from the inside out. It wasn't over. We hadn't escaped. Maybe you can't escape what comes from inside. Maybe the rule wasn't just about trusting them. Maybe it was about realizing you couldn't trust yourself either. Not after the hum. Not after 2:33. I'm telling you this now. Recording this on an old phone I found, hoping the signal gets out, hoping to warn someone. But even as I speak, my own voice sounds distant. Calm. Too calm. And Leo, he's quiet now, watching me with those empty eyes. Remember the rules. Don't trust family after 2:33. Avoid the humming silence. Watch the shadows. Don't answer the third call. Don't trust reflections. And maybe add another rule. Don't trust the survivors. Not even me. Thank you for listening to this story. If it left you feeling uneasy, checking your clocks, maybe give this video a like. And subscribe to the channel for more stories that explore the darkness. Your support means everything, especially now.